month is September, and it brings the students back to Blacksburg in force, over 20,000 strong. September also means football, and Virginia Tech started the 1981 season with a football program stronger than it has been in over a decade. The Hokies had won 8 games last season, earning a postseason appearance in the Peach Bowl. And head coach Bill Dooley feels that Tech has finally turned the corner in its quest for a winning tradition. Coach Dooley came to Virginia Tech after 11 seasons at the University of North Carolina, where he turned the Tar Heels into a national power, taking them to bowl games in 6 of his last 8 years there. He sees the same potential at Virginia Tech, and last year's bowl appearance was Tech's first in 12 years. One of the important keys to Coach Dooley's long history of winning football is his selection of assistant coaches. The Virginia Tech staff is now regarded as one of the best in the country, with each coach bringing to the program a wide variety of coaching experience. Virginia Tech opened the 1981 season at home against the University of Richmond, and it was soon obvious to Coach Dooley that his team was in command. The first score of the day came in the second quarter when Tech quarterback Steve Casey found receiver Mike Shaw, and Shaw broke through to the end zone for 6 points. The defense played a superb game, holding Richmond to just 12 points. Nose guard B.J. Zwinnick got the first quarterback sack of the year, this one for a 13-yard loss. Tailback Cyrus Lawrence put Tech on the board again in the third quarter. Then, early in the fourth, he broke loose for 25 yards to set up another Tech score. Steve Casey carried it in for the touchdown, and the Hokies were out in front by 15 points. Cyrus Lawrence added 6 more with this touchdown dive, and Virginia Tech had its first victory, 28-12. The following week, William & Mary came to Blacksburg, and the Indians found the Tech offense behind the passing of Steve Casey virtually unstoppable. Casey threw the first play of the game and found receiver Rob Purdom for a 32-yard gain. Casey can run as well as he can throw, but he was looking for favorite receiver Mike Jackalone and connected 48 yards downfield. 3 plays later, he wanted to throw again, but decided to take it in himself, and Tech took the lead 7-3. The Tech offense scored on each of its next 4 possessions, and the defense added 1 more when Gillette Ford intercepted a William & Mary pass. Then in the third quarter, Casey found Mike Jackalone again, and Tech was on the board 1 more time. The defense completely nullified William & Mary's rushing attack, and Virginia Tech had win number 2, 47-3. Wake Forest was the next opponent, and the Deacons scored first, taking a 7-0 lead in the first quarter. But Tech came back strong in the second quarter with this 20-yard gain by fullback Scott Dovell. Steve Casey then hit Mike Jackalone, who carried it in to tie the score. Tech took the lead late in the second quarter when linebacker Mike Johnson intercepted a Wake Forest pass to set up a field goal. The Hokies came out passing in the second half and caught the Deacons off guard with this 32-yard strike from fullback Tony Page to Mike Jackalone. Cyrus Lawrence set up Tech's last score with this 20-yard run in the fourth quarter. Casey then connected with Tony Page, and Virginia Tech was on top, 30-14. Tech had completely dominated its first three opponents, but when Memphis State came to town, the Hokies found themselves in a football game. Tech took a 10-point first-half lead with a field goal and this touchdown run by quarterback Steve Casey. The defense played its usual game, with linebacker Ashley Lee making life miserable for the Memphis quarterback. Rick Miley and Robert Brown also put pressure on him, this time for a 17-yard loss. But despite the excellent performance by the defense, Coach Dooley found his team behind by 3 points in the fourth quarter when Memphis State capitalized on a Virginia Tech fumble. It was a new experience for Tech to be behind in the fourth quarter, and the ball was 76 yards from the goal line. So Cyrus Lawrence got the handoff 9 times on the 16-play drive, and Tech had the ball on the 1-yard line. The outcome of the game came down to one play. It was 4th and 1, and Lawrence got the call one more time. He dived for the goal line, and Virginia Tech had victory number 4, 17-13. The winning streak came to an end when the Hokies went on the road to meet the Duke Blue Devils. The Tech defense held Duke scoreless for nearly 3 quarters. But the offense was unable to get in the end zone, and Duke took a 7-0 lead at the end of the third quarter. Tech came right back in the fourth quarter when Cyrus Lawrence broke through the middle for 43 yards. Steve Casey took it in for the score, and the game was tied. Tech stopped Duke's next drive at the goal line, but the game ended when Casey's pass was intercepted and returned for a touchdown. Duke had the win 14-7. Bowl-bound West Virginia was the next opponent, and Virginia Tech had 3 starting defensive players out with injuries, and the Mountaineer passing attack was devastating. Starting quarterback Steve Casey was also injured, but Jeff Bolton stepped in and was right on target with Mike Jackalone. Defensive end Robert Brown put pressure on the quarterback, but Tech was unable to stop the West Virginia passing attack, and the team had its second loss. The following week was homecoming, and over 45,000 fans came home to Lane Stadium. Tech's homecoming opponent was Appalachian State, who found the Hokies much improved over the previous week. Tech took the lead early in the first quarter when quarterback Jeff Bolton hit Mike Jackalone for 28 yards and a touchdown. The Hokies then got the ball right back when defender Jake Clark intercepted an Appalachian pass. Cyrus Lawrence went in for the score, and Tech led 16-0 in the first quarter. Bolton then found wingback Billy Height wide open and connected for a 72-yard touchdown pass. The homecoming crowd saw big plays all day as Robert Brown put pressure on the Mountaineer quarterback, and linebacker Mike Johnson picked off his pass and returned it 55 yards. Bolton then hit Mike Jackalone one more time, this time for a 45-yard score, and the homecoming crowd saw the Hokies win again, 34-12. Virginia Tech went on the road the following week, this time to meet the University of Kentucky Wildcats. The offense dominated Kentucky from the beginning as fullback Tony Page broke loose for a 22-yard gain. Then, late in the first quarter, wingback Billy Height found the right side wide open and went in for the touchdown. Steve Casey and Tony Page almost got a third-quarter touchdown with this pass play to the Kentucky 1-yard line. Cyrus Lawrence, who gained 160 yards in the game, went in for the score. The defense completely shut down the Kentucky offense as Ashley Lee took the ball right out of the quarterback's hands. Robert Brown also harassed him, and Jeremiah Thomas stopped the ball carrier for a 7-yard loss. Virginia Tech's barefooted place kicker, Don Wade, hit a record 5 field goals in the game, and the final score was Tech 29, Kentucky 3. The next stop for Virginia Tech was the Orange Bowl in Miami, Florida, to meet the 12th-ranked University of Miami Hurricanes. 2 costly turnovers gave Miami a 14-point lead in the first quarter. But the Tech offense, led by Cyrus Lawrence, recovered quickly, and the heavily favored Hurricanes found themselves in a contest. The Hokies marched 80 yards in the second quarter, 42 of them coming on this pass from Steve Casey to Mike Shaw. Cyrus Lawrence ended the drive when he pushed through a crowd for the touchdown. Miami scored again, but Tech went to the air in the second half and marched 76 yards. The ball was on the 8-yard line, and Casey wanted to throw again, but no one was open, so he took it in himself to bring Tech within 7. The defense held Miami scoreless the entire second half, but a costly fumble stopped Tech's last drive late in the game, and Miami had the win 21-14. It was the coldest day of the year when VMI came to Blacksburg, and both teams were as cold as the weather. The game was entirely defense, with neither team able to move the ball. Then, early in the second half, VMI capitalized on a Tech fumble and took a 6-point lead. Tech was able to contain VMI for the remainder of the game, but time ran out for the offense. Tech's last drive started with 48 seconds left in the game, but it was not enough time, and VMI took home the win. The VMI loss had shocked the team, but for Virginia Tech fans, the most important game was the last one, the University of Virginia. Virginia had defeated VMI earlier in the season, so the crowd of 39,000 didn't know quite what to expect. But it was apparent from the start that Virginia Tech was in command of the game. On Tech's second possession, fullback Scott Dovell went through the middle for 16 yards. Then, 3 plays later, he put Tech's first score on the board. The first big defensive play of the afternoon came when Jake Clark intercepted this Virginia pass. Cyrus Lawrence had his best game of the year, rushing for over 200 yards and finding holes where none existed. Lawrence scored Tech's second touchdown, and the Hokies took a 13-3 halftime lead. Tech continued their domination of the Cavaliers in the second half, as linebacker Mike Johnson brought down Virginia's quarterback for an 8-yard loss. The defense played a near-perfect game, intercepting Virginia passes 4 times and giving up only 3 points. The final score came early in the fourth quarter, with this 11-yard run by freshman tailback Greg Keys. Tech had the victory, 20-3. The Hokies had soundly defeated Virginia for the second year in a row, and once again the season was a success for the Virginia Tech fans. Virginia Tech finished the season with a 7-4 record, and although there were some setbacks along the way, Coach Dooley felt that it was a good year for his team. The Hokies had won the state championship with the victory over Virginia, and the season had produced some outstanding performances. The winning tradition has come back to Virginia Tech.